You know, for over a decade, the disappearance of a young mother was pretty much a closed book. It was a tragedy, sure, but officially, it was ruled a suicide. But what if that whole official story was wrong? Well now, a new kind of detective, artificial intelligence, is reopening that book. And what it's finding could completely rewrite the final chapter in the case of Sandrine Jourdan.
So let's go back to July 13th, 2012. We're in a quiet, rural town called Caboolture in Queensland, Australia. And on that day, Sandrine, a 37-year-old artist, a horticulturalist, and a really devoted mother, just disappeared, vanished from the face of the earth.
The official investigation, well, it pretty quickly settled on a tragic but simple explanation: suicide. But for her family, that just never, ever made sense. And now, more than 10 years later, a completely new kind of investigator is looking at all the evidence: artificial intelligence.
So you see, the police saw a statistic, but her family saw a mother. And to understand why those two views are so incredibly different, we have to go back to her last known day.
Okay, so picture this: a secluded 5-acre property, totally surrounded by thick bushland. Sandrine was there visiting a friend. The plan was to head to the local show with him later that afternoon. And this right here is the crucial point for her family. Sandrine was, above absolutely everything else, a mother. Her daughter Nikita, who was only 12 at the time, remembers her as just being completely dedicated. Her entire life was her children.
So she left her phones and her purse behind, walked down this long driveway to wait at the front gate. Her friend said it was only a matter of minutes before he drove down to meet her, but when he got there, she was gone. The only thing left was her jacket, just hanging on a fence post.
So, what happened in those few minutes? This is exactly where the official story and the family's reality start to go in two completely different directions.
On one side, you've got the official theory. The police really focused on Sandrine's history with mental health challenges and basically concluded she just walked away to take her own life. But on the other side, her family saw a woman who was actively working on her well-being. She was keeping these detailed journals that were filled with future plans, appointments, even budgets. She was anything but checked out.
And this is really the heart of the family's conviction, voiced right here by her daughter Nikita. The person described in the official report, to them, she was a complete stranger.
Now just look at this timeline. In any missing persons case, you know the first 48 hours are absolutely critical. But here, 8 days passed before police even told the public she was missing. And a physical search? That didn't start for 10 days. That crucial window had already slammed shut, and for the family, it felt like the case was cold before it even really began.
So the police may have settled on their theory, but the area around where Sandrine disappeared held some bizarre and frankly chilling clues that were seemingly just overlooked.
Let's start with this number, 3.
A neighbor, Jan Martin, lived near a rifle range, so she knew what distant shots sounded like. And on the day Sandrine vanished, she heard 3 loud, close gunshots. She reported it, but there's no record that police ever followed up on that lead, at all.
Okay, and then 6 months after she disappeared, a bizarre 4-page letter just arrives out of the blue. It's signed Rosetta Bunton, a name the family had never even heard. And the letter itself was this vicious character assassination, full of intimate details, painting a picture of a woman her family didn't recognize at all. Then, 3 years later, a private investigator makes a stunning discovery on a neighboring property: women's clothing, wrapped up in plastic and carpet, a purple top and black pants, which is strikingly similar to what Sandrine wore on her last day. And, alongside them, a handbag and a single shell, which sounds small, but this was a deeply personal item for Sandrine, who actually made jewelry from them. So what did the police do? They dismissed the items. The family says they were never even shown the clothes to identify them. And then, in a move that is just, it's incomprehensible, this potentially vital evidence was destroyed. With the trail gone cold and key evidence literally destroyed, the case seemed hopeless. But years later, an entirely new path to the truth opened up, one that didn't even exist when Sandrine disappeared: technology. A new team of investigators is feeding the entire case file, every single statement, report, and piece of evidence to an AI. It's programmed to cross-reference all that data in ways a human might miss, flagging inconsistencies in witness timelines. It's also doing a linguistic analysis on that anonymous letter, comparing its unique patterns to Sandrine's own journals, trying to find a hidden author. And it's digging into the digital clues on her laptops.
And this is where things take a really dark turn. Digital forensics uncovered sophisticated encryption software on her laptop. I mean, not something you'd find on a typical home computer. It's more common in law enforcement or intelligence circles. Even more disturbing, another device had access to a website that had been previously flagged by authorities in human trafficking investigations. This wasn't just a sad story anymore. It was pointing to something potentially far more sinister.
And with these new leads, public pressure started to build. An episode of the TV show Under Investigation brought the case to over 1.1 million viewers, which generated a flood of new tips and gave the family's fight for answers massive exposure.
So with new evidence and renewed public interest, the family's decade-long quest for the truth has now entered a new and really critical phase.
You know, for families like Sandrine's, the fight for answers means navigating this absolutely daunting legal maze. Organizations like the Caxton Legal Center exist specifically to help guide them through the complex process of turning new evidence into official action.
And that is the goal now, a full coronial inquest. This is basically a formal court hearing to investigate a death, especially a suspicious one. And thanks to all this new information, the Queensland coroner has officially reopened Sandrine's case and is considering taking this exact step.
So it really leaves us with a critical question for our time. After all the human missteps, the missed clues, and the years and years of waiting, can technology finally deliver the truth when the system fails?